Hi friends, Beck the Feminist Lawyer here. Gonna answer this comment, and boy, hell have no fury like me today. I got this comment on a video that I shared of Yahtzees marching in Florida. Now, just for the backstory, several months ago, I made a TikTok about Yahtzees in Florida and how they were moving in a fascist, genocidal direction against the LGBT community, particularly in Florida. And I was warning that LGBT people are no longer safe in Florida if they were ever. And so I was talking about the legislation that had just been passed, and there were right-wingers all over me. So the TikTok blew up, and I was posted to a bunch of these right-wing bully groups, and they started literally threatening my life. They came onto my page and were posting threats and were sending me messages and were saying really terrible things to me. And I started to really get kind of scared. So for the sake of my own sanity and for my family, for the safety of my family, I took the TikTok down. But it's still floating around out there, archived on websites that have just willfully misinterpreted me. And they tried to make me look crazy because I was calling out freaking genocide headed their way. Well, guess what? I'm not crazy. They're marching in the streets in Orlando. Never was crazy. I mean, never ever was. Told y'all this was happening. And here are a couple of reasons that I'm going to back up my claim. This comment made me put on my research hat, and this person is right. The Southern Poverty Law Center said, as of 2022, there are 89 hate and anti-government groups in Florida, and more headed that way. Also, as of May of 2023, Governor DeSantis signed into law 6 anti-LGBT bills, and I'm going to tell you exactly what they are, because Lord knows there's a whole bunch of these dumbass right-wingers that show up and go, "Did you read the bill?" Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what bills they are so you can look them up and read them. Number 1, HB 1069. That's HB 1069. That's the infamous Don't Say Gay bill. This bill keeps educators from being able to say anything about sexual orientation or gender identity throughout all grades. It was originally only up to 8th grade, and then it was expanded after that. This also forces educators to dead name trans children and repeatedly misgender them. And if a child shows up at school claiming a gender other than what the educator assumes they should be claiming, they tell the parents, even if that kid says that they're not safe to be out at home. So it's endangering trans children at school. The next one is SB 254, and this is one that bans gender-affirming care. There is criminal prosecution for any doctors that provide gender-affirming care to a minor. And then those who are adults that want to seek gender-affirming care, it's outlawed for them to be able to get insurance to cover it, because the idea was, well, you got the choice to mutilate your body, but you can't make anybody else pay for it. There's also no public funds allowed to go towards gender-affirming research or trans research in any sort of way. So sure, finding out if this stuff is actually helpful has been outlawed. And then, this is an issue for custody. So if you have a non-custodial parent in Florida who, the custodial parent who is in another state is providing gender-affirming care to their child, the non-custodial parent in Florida can take emergency custody of that kid and then go to the Florida courts and have the custody agreement amended or change because of the gender-affirming care. It's actually like a strike against the custodial parent. And Florida also defines gender-affirming care of a minor child abuse. So the state can take temporary custody of a child receiving gender-affirming care, and you do not have to be a resident for that to apply. So don't take your trans kids to Disney World. HB 1521 is the bathroom bill. This prohibits gender-neutral bathrooms in schools, jails, parks, other public places, and there are criminal penalties for going into a bathroom that is not the same as the gender identity that another person assumes that you should be having, rather than the gender identity that you know you have. So if you don't look femme enough and you are in the women's bathroom, you can go to jail. SB 266 says that the Board of Governors can remove collegiate majors like racial studies, African American studies, gender studies, feminist studies. The Board of Governors, who are not educators, can just march into the colleges and say, you can't teach this. Then comes SB 1580, and that is the license for medical practitioners to discriminate based on their personally held morals, ethics, and values. So if a trans person comes in to the emergency room dying on the table, that doctor can refuse to treat that person because they are trans and it violates their morals. And then there's SB 170 rounding it out, which prohibits any city in Florida to pass non-discrimination ordinances in their towns or in their cities. So yeah, the free state of Florida, they sure don't like the people to have the final say. So if there is a city, I'm thinking of places like Fort Myers and Wilton Manors that are, known to be quite LGBT friendly. If those towns want to hold referendums or votes to pass ordinances where the businesses within that town cannot discriminate based on sexual orientation or gender expression, the state has outlawed the ability of those towns to do that. And we haven't even gotten started on women's rights being taken away, or people with uteruses. And we haven't even started on the racial shit either. All of these laws prohibiting protests, it's completely aimed at the Black Lives Matter movement. Florida is a fascist state, and if you are LGBT, you are not safe there until this changes. If you have a trans child or an LGBT child, you are not even safe to visit Florida. Yet, the right-wingers are going to go up in arms and call me crazy for saying all of this. But I cited all of the bills. There they are for you. And actually, I'll just make a list of them again. We got HB 1069. We got SB 254. We got HB 1521, SB 266, SB 1580, and SB 170. So don't ask me if I read them. You go read them. Hell hath no damn fury on me for this. So I said it once. I'll say it again. Hopefully I don't get harassed the same way I did before, get freaking death threats and shit like I did. Stay out of Florida. It ain't safe. Stay safe out there, friends. Keep fighting that good fight.